Hi, I'm Natalie Rogers with Tat Your Own Adventure, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a split chain. I have a sample here that I've prepped for this video. It is a ring with 3 picots and a mock picot where my chain comes out. This is 5 picot 5 picot 5 joining to one of those picots, 5 picot 5 joining to the picot. This one is going to mimic this side, so I've already got the 5 picot 5. This is the spot where I want the thread to come out for going into my next round with my split chain. And I still have 5 stitches left to complete to connect to this final picot over here on this motif. So we are at the point where we have started our split chain. I've already done the first part of the split chain. This is worked like normal. And now we are going to work the remaining 5 pieces as part of that split chain. They're going to be red in color. If you have 2 thread colors, it's going to be the other thread color. So that is something to keep in mind with whether or not you want to use a split chain. But it'll show you how the split chain looks based on the 2 different thread colors that I'm using. So you can see what one shuttle and the other shuttle are doing. So again, with the pink shuttle, with the pink thread color, I worked that 5 picot 5, and now I'm ready to come in with my red and work my remaining 5 so that both my threads end up coming out of this spot, and I can then start my chain to come back around on this side. So when working a split chain, you complete the stitches that you want that will be the non-split part up to the point where you want your thread to come out. And then that's when you're going to switch the shuttle that you're working with over to the other one. And we're going to go through this picot and we're going to do a lock join. And this lock join needs to be about 3/4 of the distance that you think you need. So figure out the distance you think you need before we pull it tight. So I'm gonna just get this through and ready to pull, and I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna eyeball. I know it's about 5 stitches, which is about this much space on with my stitches here. So I know that this much space, if I make that room, is going to be too long. As we work it, this stretches a little bit, and if I left it at just the right amount, I'm going to end up with like 7 or 8 stitches needing to fill the gap because it's going to stretch as I work it. So I want less space than I think I need by about 3/4. So again, if it was that distance, then I want to take that distance and shrink it by about 1/4. And then I'm going to snug it up tight here. And we're going to flip our work. So I flip my work to the front side, then I'm going to bring my thread down across the front. From the back, I'm going to use my pick to pull that through. I'm going to put my shuttle through. Then I'm going to grab my shuttle thread to pull that back to the front side. It's like I'm working on a cabone ring, if you've worked on a cabone ring before. Back to the front side and pull that one up, and that's the one I'm going to pull and snug up. It's going to form the first half of my stitch. Again, I'm working on the back side of my work right now, so I will complete this stitch and then I'll flip it over so you can see what it looks like on the front, because I'm making it so that on the front side it would be a full stitch. And then I need to take my shuttle and come back up through this loop to finish off that stitch. So on the back side, let me zoom in here. So on the back side, it does not look like a complete stitch, the side that I'm working on right now, but if I flip it back over, You can see that I have a complete stitch right here with the belt loop and the pant legs. Might be a little bit hard to see. We'll flip it back over after we've done the 5 stitches so you can see all 5 stitches. So again, working on the back side, I'm bringing my thread across the front. I'm pulling it back through with my shuttle, then grabbing that shuttle tail. The other thread's just hanging out. It has no part in this. Pull that back through to the other side so it pops to the other side. Once it has, grab that loop and sink that down. Now I've got a complete stitch on the back side, so a stitch, half stitch followed by a complete stitch. And then I'm going to come back up through that loop. And that's my second one. Third one, same process. Thread across the front, pull through to the back, then pop back through to the front. Take that loop, use it to cinch down the first half of the stitch. Second half of the stitch is formed by coming back up through that loop. And we have 3 completed on the back. Pull it up to the front. Sorry, place it across the front. Slide to the back. Pull it back to the front side. Grab that new loop. Cinch it down. Take my shuttle. Back up through. Snug my stitches, and I've got just enough space to put in my last stitch. Cross it to the front. Pull to the back side. Pop that loop to the front, grab that loop, pull the first half snug, bring my shuttle through that back loop, up through that back loop to pull the second half snug. And I measured that space pretty tightly because it's trying to sit itself halfway on the stitch next to it. So I'm going to loosen it here for a second and see if I can't snake a little bit more space. So I might have eyeballed a little bit on the smaller side for the first time ever. For getting that into its space. And there we go. Now they're both in their spaces separately. So I'm going to zoom in to show you what the back side looks like, and then I'll flip it over so you can see what the front side looks like. So there we go on the back side. I have a half stitch followed by 4 complete stitches followed by a half stitch. Then when I flip it over, put you back into frame. There we go. When I flip it over, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 complete stitches plus my lock join here. And both threads coming out where I want to be to continue. With the project. So there we go. Again, we've got 5 complete stitches here. If I was working my split ring from the front side of my project, then I would have put my thread to the back side first instead of putting it to the front side. But the rest of the process is pretty much the same, where you're grabbing the thread from the opposite side that you placed it, then sending that loop back over, pulling it tight, and continuing that process. So then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to continue on with my project. Always tension before lock joining, since you're locking your core thread in place. So I've worked to the spot where I'm going to be doing a split chain again. I'm going to work the first half of the chain, which will be 5 stitches to match over here, before my picot, which my picot is just going to be where my threads come out. So I'm going to do 5 stitches. Then I'm going to lock join the pink core thread into this picot to work my 5 pink stitches back, and then both threads will be here and ready to climb out for the next round. So I'm going to continue with 5 more red stitches. I'm going to tension that work. That's important. Tensioning before doing any lock joins again is important, including lock joins where you're doing a split chain. So we're going to lock join the pink. Oh, the red can come off my hand at this point. Lock join the pink into my picot here. Figure out what the right amount of core thread should be, and then do 3/4 of that. So I'm gonna look here. Do my little lock join. Turn my work over. And I'm going to bring my thread across the front. Coming from the back, I'm going to loop that thread to the back side. Cross through, pull that loop to the front, bring that loop out, tighten down the first half of that stitch, finish with the second half coming through that, and then continue on with my next one. Cross the front, scoop from behind, use the one connected to my shuttle thread from the other side of that half loop there to pull that up. Tighten it down, pass my shuttle back through that loop, tighten it down. If you want, you can wrap the thread around your finger before crossing it across the front. To help pop that loop back through to the other side. And then you release it, tighten it down. I've lost track of how many I have done. We got 4 in there. I'm going to tighten them up. Give myself space for my final stitch here. And there we go. There's the back side. There's the front side where I have complete 5 stitches here and my complete 5 red stitches there, and it's ready to come out into the next round.